What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Heads Not the Tails. My name is Christopher. My nickname in the world was Philly Blunts. So you might see my other YouTube channel with Philly Blunts on it. But what I want to talk to y'all about today is something that's been bothering a lot of people around the world. And the doctors finally put a term to it, but if you ask me, that term really doesn't apply. Doesn't even touch on what's really happening. So let me ask you something. Have you ever been held down in your sleep? Have you ever been held down in your sleep until the sun came up before you were able to move? You have darker visions and dreams of things while you're being held down? Have you tried everything you can to break the trance, the spell? Well, let me tell you something today. I've been dealing with this phenomenon since I was about 13 years old. And let me start by saying, when I was about 8 years old, okay, I lived in Sacramento, California, right outside of Sacramento, a place called Beale. And my parents, when I was young, they used to always drive out to Lake Tahoe and Reno to go gamble on the weekends. So I remember one weekend, I believe it was the first time they ever left, and I had to stay home without them. And I remember they took off and went on their trip. And I cried and didn't want them to go. And then they left. And I wound up sleeping in my parents' room that night. And upon sleeping in my parents' room, my mom had a whole bunch of little Virgin Mary statues and holy water and a cross with Jesus on it. Because she was raised Catholic from the Philippines. Now, when I was a kid, I always knew that God was real. I always knew that. And when they left, I remember that night I went to sleep in their room. And on my mom's shelf, she had all these Catholic things on a shelf, and I used to always be scared they would get in an accident or something, and not make it home to me. So I felt like the best way to protect them was I would slip a cross or a little Virgin Mary statue in their suitcase when they were leaving. And when they get there, they unpack, and then they see the little whatever I put in their bag at that time, and they knew I put it there. But on this particular trip, I grabbed all the stuff off of my mom's shelf, and I set it on her nightstand next to their bed. And I laid there. I cried myself to sleep. I was probably about 8 years old, maybe, could have been 7, 8. But in the middle of the night, I was awoken. I was awoken by the brightest, goldest light I have ever seen in life to this day. And I'm 37 now. Imagine imagine taking a giant gold solid plate, a giant one, that was smoothed and shined to the max. Okay? Then imagine one of the big old strong spotlights shining onto this gold plate, and then the reflection casting on you. Is how I could kind of describe it. When the light touched me, it went through my body. And I've never felt anything like this before, but this light totally passed through me. And I knew right then and there that God had touched me. And when I awoke, I was sitting, the light faded away, and then I realized I was sitting straight up in the bed, soaking wet, like I just jumped out of a pool. And I'll never forget that. You know, I felt that God touched me. God told me He touched me. And from that moment on, now that I look back, I think God touched me for a reason. Because when I was 13 years old, it was kind of wild. I was starting to sneak all that night and all that stuff, but when I was 13, I came in, it was probably about 8 o'clock at night, and it had to be around like 95 or 94, 93, something like that. But I came home, and I was super tired and stuff. My brother and his friends were sitting there getting ready to watch a blockbuster movie. But I was so tired, I had to go upstairs and go to sleep. Now, me and my brother shared a room at that time. We had twin beds in the room. And he was into some other stuff, I should say, dealing with some friends that they were trying to cast spells and do voodoo magic and stuff. So my brother had this shelf in his room that had all these scrolls and all types of weird stuff, brass pots and candles carved into people and stuff. So I never liked any of that stuff. But that night I went to bed, and I looked at that shelf before I went to bed, and I passed out, only to be awoken by a really faint light blue light in the room. And I remember I was paralyzed. I was stuck. I had vision. I could see and I could look around the room, but I couldn't move or speak. Something was holding me down. And just as I realized I was being held down, something started to slam me up and down on my bed, maybe 5 or 6 times. The whole upper half of my body, bam, 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 bam. And I remember on the 5th slam, I was like, I can't take it no more. And I jumped up out of the bed and ran downstairs. And my brother and his friends were in the middle of this movie still. So I could tell I wasn't asleep that long. But I went downstairs and I started yelling at them. Who's slamming me up and down on my bed? They all looked at me crazy. Said, Chris, didn't nobody go upstairs slamming you up and down on your bed. You're tripping. I said, I ain't tripping. Y'all just messing with me. Someone went up there and slammed me up and down on my bed and then ran out of there. They said, Chris, we've been sitting here. It's the best part of the movie. Promise. We weren't messing with you. Right then and there, I blamed it on a ghost. I said a ghost messed with me and slammed me on my bed up and down. The next day, I woke up, continued as usual, really didn't think about what had happened. But then it became a frequent thing. Every night when I go to sleep, something would hold me down. And upon holding me down, it would give me bad visions and images, even images of loved ones with a demonic look to them. You know, just real morbid, dark stuff that, you know, I don't want nothing to do with. But, anyway, I was be held down until the sun came up. When the sun came up, they let me go. Now, I didn't get slammed anymore. It was just holding me down until the sun came up, and they let me go. And every time I would go grab my dog and my cat, I had a Siamese cat and a pit bull, and I let them in my room and I'd go back to sleep. And for some reason, when the animals were in the room with me, they wouldn't bother me. But then there were times I'd come home blunted, pass out in my bed and forget to bring the animals in there. And this is what it's like, right when they hold you down and they catch you right on the verge of falling asleep. When you're just about to fall asleep, they're holding me down again. Can't move, can't see anything. In and out, little bad visions, bad thoughts. Darkness surrounded me. It enveloped me in a way that I don't ever want to be there or feel that feeling ever again. But I've been held down, and probably when I was about 17, I mean, I used to leave home and run away. Not really run away, but I would go spend a night at my friends' houses for a week at a time and stuff, just because I knew there was something at my mom's house that was bothering me. And it seemed that whenever I'd go somewhere else, it wouldn't bother me. But this one time, I knew they were coming at night. I started getting really bold with these spirits, things. And one night I said, I know they're coming. I'm going to act like I'm asleep just to see if I see them. So what I do? Went to bed. I laid on my side that night and I squinted my eyes just like this. Acted like I was asleep. I promise you, not even 1 minute into acting like I was asleep, I felt the pressure. I felt the pressure on me. And they started to hold me down while I was wide awoke. They thought I was asleep, but I wasn't. I was sitting there squinting. Man, I tell you what happened. When they hold you down, you feel a trembling in your bones. You feel a chill. You feel a coolness pass before your face. Okay? When I was being